Are you wondering what's a reasonable amount of income to spend on your mortgage payment? I've done a video here that talked about 35%, that you shouldn't be spending more than 35% of your take home pay on your mortgage. And the reason is because you don't want to be house poor, where you have no money to save for retirement, to invest, to have money for other opportunities, to pay off any debt you still may have, to save for your children's college education, all of those things. Because the truth is, most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and very few of them have even savings in the bank. And definitely not an emergency fund. So you don't want to spend too much of your income on housing. And so everything I'm going to do today, I'm going to use 4 different take home pays. And then I'm going to show you a house that would be a reasonable amount for that person at that income to spend on their mortgage payment. And I want to, share this quote with you from Jim Rohn, and I'll probably leave it up. It says, "The rich invest their money and spend what is left." So they go ahead and they put their money in investments, they put their money in their retirement accounts, things such as that, and then they spend what's left. And what poor people do, and a lot of people in the middle class, because they want people to think that they're doing well, instead of them actually doing well. So they're getting a fancier car, a more expensive house, but then on the back end, struggling financially. And that's what I don't want for you. So what he says at the end of the quote is that poor people spend their money and then invest what's left. So you go ahead and spend, oh, I need this kind of house. And it may be 50% of your take home pay, right? And then you have other bills, other things you can do. And so you really have nothing left to invest. So I want to make sure that you are thinking this through way before you get your pre-approval, because when you get a pre-approval from a lender, they're going to be looking at your gross pay before taxes. So that's always going to be more than what you actually bring home, so you can be qualified for more. And a lot of times, once people see that amount, they're like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead, I'm qualified for 500,000, I'm going to go for 500,000. But they're always looking at your gross pay. So you need to step back and say, okay, what is reasonable before you even start shopping or going to get lender quotes? What's reasonable for me in my financial situation, with my future goals, that sort of thing. A lot of you that watch my channel, you may be single parents and you only have that one income, and you may or may not have steady child support. So you have to think about those things before you spend up to your max of your pre-approval amount. And then you become where you're not comfortable with that payment and you're really burdened by this high mortgage payment. So I'm going to go over a couple of houses, and let me add my first one. All right, so this is if you have a take-home pay, and I kind of try to do a couple of different states. I did the most affordable states in the United States. But again, you have to, when you're looking in your state, unless you're going to move, you want to say what's most affordable. If you can't find something that's going to work for you, and be in a safe neighborhood, decent schools, that sort of thing, then you have to kind of be creative and say, okay, how can I afford something? Maybe it's a smaller home in a different community. Maybe it is moving a parent in with you. You have to be creative as to how you're going to afford. Maybe it's new construction where they're buying down your rate. So those are all things that make your house more affordable. So here's our first house. This is if you have a take-home pay of $3,000. And I didn't do exactly 35%, but this house is in Birmingham, Alabama. It's listed at $139,000. This is going to bring you a payment of about $1,000. And I did all of these homes with 5% down. So a 5% down payment. This home is 3-bedroom, 3-bath, about 2,000 square feet. So this would be reasonable for somebody that's making $3,000 to spend $1,000 on their housing. That's about 33 or so percent. But this would be a reasonable amount, because you'll still have money to save as long as you're not going crazy, right? You still have money to save. You have money for food. You have money for all of those other things, because you're not spending the majority of your money on a mortgage payment. And you're also stabilizing your highest payment by buying a home. So you're not worried about the rent going up every month. And this may be a starter home for a lot of people. And they're saying, okay, let me get this. And then it turns into a rental, and maybe you move up in home later. but this is a good starting point for a lot of people with a take-home pay of $3,000. Let's go to the next one. This is a take-home pay of $5,000. So we've increased the price of the home to $215,000. And this monthly payment would be around $1,620, so $1,620. This home is in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. It's 3 bedroom, 2 bath. It's 1,657 square feet. And let's talk about buying down your rate. So a lot of new construction builders are buying down rates, because right now, when I did this math, I'll let Zillow do it for me. Actually, they estimated the interest rate at about 6.5% or so. And if you are going to builders, a lot of them are buying down the rate to about 5%, 5.5%. You can do something similar with a resale owner. So resale owners have equity in their homes. Whether you're going to offer a little more for them to buy down that rate on the back end, or if you're going to have them pay some of your closing costs to buy down the rate. I'd rather that happen, that you put your offer in and put in that you want them to pay more of your closing costs so you can buy down your rate. That's one way of getting a lower interest rate. And then and I've done a video about mortgage assumption. You may want to watch that next. I'll put that as the next video, where you can assume the seller's mortgage. So that might be, a lot of people have mortgage rates under 5%. You may want to ask, as you get into the buying process, can your mortgage be assumed? And that might be a great, especially if they refinanced recently and they're, in a mortgage that is assumable, you may be able to go ahead and assume that mortgage. But watch that video next. All right, so this is reasonable for somebody making about $5,000 a month. And if this sounds crazy to you, you're like, no, I can't do this, Shaheedah. I need to spend. I really don't want to see you spending half of your income on housing. Even in an apartment, you shouldn't be reaching and spending that much money on your apartment, but at least apartments are temporary. So you may be paying a little bit more for a little while until your lease ends. But when you're getting into a mortgage, that's a permanent, price until you sell, that you're going to have to pay every month. So you want to make sure you're very comfortable with that amount. And if you're thinking, hey, it's not permanent, because I could always refinance. I've also done a video on that, because you cannot always refinance. It doesn't always make sense to refinance. So you want to make sure you understand that before you buy. All right, so our next house is if you're making $7,000 a month. So if you're making $7,000 a month, this home is in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's 3 bedroom, 3 bath. It's 1,620 square feet. And this monthly payment is going to put you at about $2,559 a month. So you're making $7,000 a month, or at least your take-home pay. Let me make that very clear. Your take-home pay is $7,000 a month. And then your monthly payment would be, and this is taxes, insurance, or at least with the estimates of, what Zillow had as far as their estimates. It's 5% down, taxes, insurance, all of that is in there as well. It probably doesn't have mortgage insurance, but it has, an estimate for insurance, an estimate for taxes, that sort of thing. So that would be your estimate for your monthly payment for something around $339,000, making $7,000. Now, a lot of you have several things coming out of your check. So you may, if you're on salary, you have several things coming out. So you don't just have taxes, you may have your health care, you may have your 401k or other contributions. So if you do have, some investments coming out of your check, you're maxing out your 401k, you're maxing out a 403b, whatever, investment things you have through your employment, then you may be able to increase it a little bit more because you don't have some of those outside funds or after-tax funds going to investments. But again, you want to be really conservative on this mortgage payment, because as time goes on, if you don't upgrade your lifestyle every time you make more money, this will become a stable amount that you can build on and say, okay, I know what my large expense, this is my payment. As you make more money, then instead of moving and trying to upgrade each time, then you spend more of that money toward your investments, more of that money toward opportunity, maybe future investment properties, that sort of thing. But if you always just, oh, I'm making more money, I'm going to get a new house, you're always going to be kind of living paycheck to paycheck because you're increasing your lifestyle as you increase your income. All right, here's my last one. This one is if you have a take home pay of $10,000, this house is $459,900. It is 4 bedroom, 3 bath. It has 2,000, about 2,500 square feet. We're looking at a payment of about 3,600. I'll make this a little bit larger. The payment is 3,627 a month. So you were right around that 35%, a little bit higher than 35%. But this home is in Cambridge, Maryland. And, this is what you would be a comfortable amount if you had a take home pay of $10,000. So you can do some of those other things that you need to do with your money. Let me know what you think about this list. Are you guys going a lot higher than this when you're doing your budgets? Are you going kind of in this same range? I would really like to know, because I talked about it before when my husband and I were buying a house. I'm a teacher, he's a teacher. We have children in, child daycare. I always knew that I didn't want to teach long term. So I knew I didn't want to, max out where I had to teach. There's no way I could ever quit my job. So I wanted to make sure we were really, really conservative with our mortgage payment. So we had some time to reach our goals, because I think in the whole wealth building and generational wealth, there will have to be some sacrifices for in this generation in order to pass down that generational wealth. It's not just that you're going to, make more income, right? You're making more income so you can pass it down, but you're also going to have to be conservative in the money that you spend so you have more to pass down to the second generation. So, but I know a lot of us, like I said, we're saying this generational wealth, but we're still living as if we don't have plans to make sure we're accumulating this wealth because our expenses are so high. So if you have any questions, let me know. Please like and subscribe to my channel for new videos every week. Please check out my playlist on how to buy your first home. I'm going to leave these videos here so you can watch those next.